directors from Lovingly Artisan. Over to you, Catherine.
Oh, well, it's really lovely to be online with so many like-minded women and for all of us to be celebrating success. So my name, as Catherine said, is Catherine Connor from Lovingly Artisan. And my role within the business is business development, marketing, and helming our stores. We've got some wonderful artisan bread stores based at Altrincham Market, and a really cute little bread store at the Lakeland Food Park at Plumgarths. We are all about producing organic, ancient grains and working them and blending them daily into our loaves. And I suppose our mission in life is to place bread back at the centre of the table and to do our utmost to nourish those that come to our stores. So when I'm not at the bakery, another part of my world is working within Artisans & Co. as a food stylist with my daughter, who's a food photographer. So I have a very varied life, like many of you, but it's all based around food, and that's me.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Catherine. That was lovely, short and sweet, but absolutely perfect. Thank you very much. So now I am going to, my next victim is going to be on my screen right next to you, which is Zoe. Zoe is one of the owners of Shed One Distillery, who make the most beautiful gin. Over to you, Zoe.
Thank you very much. It's really lovely to be here and to see everybody. I recently found out that my new laptop has a directional microphone. So please let me know if you can't hear me, and I might have to be like this talking to you. Yes, we make gin. There you go. The end. Thank you very much. Nice to see you all. We started in 2016. The idea was, there were various ideas, but one of the reasons behind it was to actually, for us to be able to spend more time together and enjoy Cumbria. The history behind all that, we'll sit with a gin one day and I'll tell you all about my 7 years in Asia and Andrew's 20 years of an actor and all the rest of it. It all gets quite complicated. So we started in 2016 in our garden shed. We have 2 sheds in the garden, hence this one, the gin being called Shed One. We make premium gins. We're very pleased to say that all of them have got awards now, and a couple of them have got more than one, which is great. And the distillery also has awards as well. One of our things is sustainability. It's always been about the environment and sustainability ever since we started. And we started very small with just trying to figure out getting the packaging to be recyclable. And now that we're in the old calf shed, which is our home for the last since October 2019, we've managed to put a lot more of other initiatives in, and a few months ago we became net zero, so that was great. So yes, we produce gin, we produce gin liqueurs. I also make gin marmalade because we use zest in the gin, so I have fruit that I need to use up, so I make gin marmalade out of that. And we now, in our beautiful shed, we host people here and we show you how to make gin, and we give you beautiful botanical inspired afternoon G&Ts and tours and tastings and all the rest. It is just Andrew and I. There is nobody else at the moment. So we are pretty much, we make it, we bottle it, we distill it, we do the marketing, we do the design, we stand behind the bar, we do it all. So that's us at the moment. And thank you ever so much for everybody being here. It's great to see you all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Zoe. Thank you. Right. Next is Christine Rowley. Christine is with her husband, a co-director of Rowley Estates in Eden. Over to you, Christine.
Hey all, I'm really pleased to be here. Our business, the Rowley Estates, is a family business. We've been based in the Eden Valley near Glastonbury for about 5 generations. Started off like a pretty typical Cumbrian family, farming, forestry, Christmas trees, raspberries, airfield, a bit of pheasant shooting, you know, all of that sort of traditional country pursuits. And about 20 years ago, my husband and I started a holiday rental business with one property called Malmby Hall, which is based in the village of Malmby, which was Charlie's mum's family home. And we've expanded over the last 20 years, and we now have a total of 17 properties incorporating 70 bedrooms. And I was mentioning to Catherine that based on the bookings that we have in place now, considering that we were, like most hospitality businesses, able to reopen from the 12th of April, some from obviously from the 17th of May, we have something like 20,000 bookings in place, 20,000 guest nights in place across all of the locations. And we're based primarily in Glastonbury, Malmby, Martindale, up near the Howtown Hotel, if any of you guys have been up there, and also at Glencow. Some of you might have seen Glencow Hall, which is a pretty famous Grade 1 listed castellated house based in Cumbria, and that's one of our places. In terms of the people involved in our business, well, a bit like Zoe, I wash toilets, I kind of scrub floors, as does my husband. We do a lot of pruning, we do a lot of tree work. Over the Easter bank holiday, we planted 14,000 raspberry canes. So if anybody's interested in PYO, we have a very expanding pick your own operation. We have about 10 direct employees. We work with between 10 and 15 additional self-employed people. And then we support a number of local businesses. And I guess in addition to sustainability, which is an area that we'd like to follow in Zoe's footsteps of improving, there's always room to improve in that area. Another thing that's really important for us and that we try to do really as a focus within our business is to collaborate with other local businesses. So we spend a lot of time recommending other services, trying to shop local, support local. We've just collaborated with Catherine to take all of our bread in from Lovingly Artisan. We work with the Fudge and Toffee Shop in Penrith. We support a lot of local caterers. So if on this call there's anybody who has a local business that would like to outreach to tourists coming into the Eden area, please get in touch with me, because we really do try hard to support local and work with local people. That's a really important thing for us as a small family-owned, self-started business, which is probably a lot of the participants on this call. So that's kind of what we're all about, and I really hope that through this network we can collaborate and come up with some good options for lots of different businesses in the area. We're certainly very, very open to putting our guests in touch with other people running businesses in Cumbria. We'd absolutely love to reach out and support other businesses.
Wonderful. Thank you, Christine. And if anybody would like to get hold of Christine's details, please drop me an email and I will pop you over Christine's details with her permission. Thank you very much, Christine. Right, from Christine, we are going to another district in Cumbria, and we're going to go over to South Lakeland, which is Michelle Wilkin, Director of Lakeland Retreats. Michelle, over to you.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I feel really posh, especially as you lot have all got fantastic businesses. So I feel a bit of a fraud, if I'm honest. But I was really excited and everyone's dead smiley and happy. So that's what I really like. I am Michelle. I own Lakeland Retreats. We're based in Ambleside. I own the business with my husband. We're in Ambleside, we're in Windermere, and we do the full management of holiday cottages, ranging from sleep 2 little beautiful 1-bedrooms up to like 7-bedroom. We have one in Coniston that looks like a castle, so pretty good. Cleaning it is hard work, but no, it's really good, and we've got some beautiful cottages, and I really, really love what we do. We're just in our 4th year, which the last year has been fun. We have 2 children, and they are 14 and 12, and I apologise because it's 3:20, so if they come, they've been told to shut up and duck. And I have 2 dogs as well. I have a Labrador and I have a Great Dane puppy, so I'm just going to apologise for that as well, because the Great Dane's enormous and he'll probably just pass around my back. I love what I do. I love living in Ambleside, absolute born and bred. And we just want everybody to love the Lake District like we do, and preferably stay in some beautiful places and enjoy everything that we've got to offer. I have got there's quite a lot of us, I think, at work now, and a bit like everybody else, you will find me absolutely anywhere, doing accounts, doing marketing, doing day-to-day. But actually, I really like living in my housekeeping department because I was a cleaner before I started Leighton Retreats. I had a cleaning business. And that to me is, I'm sure as anybody else in hospitality will know, cleaning is the absolute backbone of our business. So I'm just a cleaner, really. I love it, absolutely love it. So thank you very much for having me.
I love that. Thanks, Michelle. You know, I started this by saying you've got to love what you do. And I think you probably said the word love what I do, you know, probably about 5 times of that. So fantastic. And I promise we didn't coordinate that. That was completely natural. Right, now, last but certainly no means least, we have the wonderful Helen Stratham from Intro. Over to you, Helen.
Hello, hi, thank you very much. Yes, I'm Helen Statham, I'm Director of Intro. At Intro, we're based in Carlisle and we are developing our reputation to be able to deliver quality content that reflects our clients' needs and their strategies. So I'm talking about PR, social media, and just general content. If it goes online, if it goes in the papers, we can help to create it. We've got quite an extensive network of media contacts and experience of delivering several successful digital campaigns. The business originally was started by me and my business partner, Nick Turner. When was that? Maybe end of 2017, 2018. So we've been going a little while now. And we have a team of about 10 or 11 people with us. We do a variety of things as well as working with clients and delivering their campaigns. We also have a few of our own projects. A few years ago, we launched a Cumbria media diary, listing all the biggest and best events and awareness days and things like that in a very cool little diary. And it also had a bit of advice to kind of how to contact influencers and how to get your press release written and notice and things like that. As well as that, we also do local newsletters. So we're developing a few different newsletters in different areas around Cumbria. So we've got Carlisle, Barrow, Wigton, Brampton, that kind of thing. So just local news to the communities that need them. And they're kind of taken off as well. And recently we've moved into a new office in Carlisle and we've got space to do pop-ups for exhibitions and shops. So yes, our bread and butter is our PR, creating content and that stuff we're absolutely really passionate about. But it also means that we're able to look into these other little projects like our newsletters and our pop-up shops to kind of support that. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's Intro.
Thank you, Helen. Helen, you were talking there about your events diary. Do you think there's going to be one that you'll be putting out for the remainder of this year? Is it something?
I'm not sure. Like, I want to, obviously there's all the awareness days and stuff, and they're still happening and so much is going on online. And now that things are starting to be, confirmed again, we're starting to get dates. If we can do something, even if it isn't necessarily a printed version, I would love to be able to do a version because events, that has been such a massive, my husband actually works in events and stuff, and just knowing from kind of his experience, it's disappeared, and if we can do anything to kind of support that, well, yeah, definitely going to go for it.
Yeah, from a personal capacity, I remember that events diary and I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. And so yeah, I just, from a personal capacity, I just thought that was a wonderful thing that you guys did, and you and Nick, brilliant, thank you. Right, lovely. Now, obviously,
Catherine, you muted
myself, I know, sorry. Obviously, there are many definitions of success, and success means completely different things to different people. And if you'd seen any of the interviews that I did with the panel on LinkedIn, success completely means different things to each one of the 5 ladies that we've got here today. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask the same question of each of the panelists and give them an opportunity to answer the question. So my first question to the panelists, and Helen, you're still up on my screen, so I'm going to pick on you first, is what challenges did the past year during the COVID pandemic and through lockdown bring to you and your business?
Okay, thank you for that. So first up, that's unexpected. So the first thing, so I was looking at challenges and I was thinking, oh, there's going to be, a lot of crossover. I think that's going to be the thing. Everyone's going to mention similar things and it's just going to be how it kind of impacted on your business. So for me, it was the uncertainty. Would a few weeks before lockdown became kind of official, we'd taken the decision to work from home. So we felt like we were relatively agile to be able to carry on working remotely, although we definitely had in mind that it was going to be a short-term thing. Uncertainty to us, lockdown hit, that uncertainty looked like there were clients that immediately stopped working with us. Lockdown meant that they could no longer operate, so why would they want to continue to work with us to promote themselves? That first wave, before deliveries had been launched, before everyone had an online version of their business, that was understandably a really challenging time for Intro. Obviously, kind of losing clients, that'll have a knock-on effect for us because we still had a business to keep going. We were looking at, the staff that we employed. We were in the middle of moving office, which just seemed like the worst timing ever. But on the flip side of that, another challenge with clients meant that the ones that were continuing to work with us, they now had a lot to say. They wanted to get in front of the right people. There were different messages. So it meant that a lot of work kind of increased as well. So our challenge for that was kind of how to make sure those businesses were able to stay relevant with the content we were producing for them when there was still this uncertainty, when we were like, is it a week, is it a month, is it a few months? And what was the right tone? How were you going to kind of outreach to the media? How were you going to approach social media? And I guess we'll come to that at some point today. One of the biggest challenges that's kind of continued for us from the start of 2020 right through until today has been communicating with our team. It'll probably be another maybe common theme for today. I can't tell you how much I'd taken for granted being able to turn over to my colleague on the other desk in the same room and ask him a question. Now it can be an instant message, an email, a shared document, a call, a video call, and that arriving in the office and saying a quick hello, which would only take a minute or two, you now have about 6 people on the chat, like hi, hello, morning, hi, and no one's asked about how your weekend's gone. So that was always definitely been a challenge. We had a pretty good system at the start of lockdown with kind of 2 daily video calls, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and for a while, when things were at the strangest, right at the start, that was definitely something that was helpful to just about everyone on the team. It was, a chance to support each other, also a chance to make sure we were all kind of working on the right things and tasks were getting done. But as things kind of changed, we had to adapt. So another challenge was something that worked at the start of 2020 didn't necessarily work during the summer or the autumn or the latest lockdown. So I guess in a nutshell, our biggest challenges have been kind of how do you plan with so much uncertainty and how do you ensure kind of effective communication within that team when there is that uncertainty?
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Helen. Really appreciate that. That was great. Thank you. So from Helen, I'm going to pose the same question to Christine. Christine, what were the challenges that were brought on through COVID and lockdown for you and for your business, please?
Okay, so I definitely pick up what Helen said, but I'm not going to go over the same point. None of us knew what was going on, so it was all very uncertain. And I'm going to move to something a little bit more tangible, which was, cash flow. Let's talk about cash flow. Faced with uncertainty, the first thing that happened to us was every single supplier for our business, every small trader, every fencer, every agricultural contractor put their bills in simultaneously at once. And at the same time, every single guest who was due to pay for a holiday that they weren't certain was going to go ahead didn't pay. So the first thing that happened was an almighty cash flow crisis. And, I think we should, just accept that that happens from time to time. And I guess one of the things that helped us with this, and is something to kind of keep in mind for all of us, is that my husband and I did a lot of contingency planning around this. We definitely had conversations with my mom and dad. We redeemed part of our pension fund. We kind of literally got the money out from underneath the sofa cushions and put it in the bank just to try to make sure we would get through okay. And then we paid everybody straight away, and that made things very calm. So I do think that, having one of the things there is to try and have some sort of fallback. And it, wouldn't have been sufficient to rely on COVID grants or lockdown loans or whatever the kind of stuff that the government did. Really, in the very first instance, the first thing that happened was all of these small traders put in their bills, and we were lucky that we were able to kind of come up with some really kind of cobbled together plans to get through that. So that was a tough challenge. And I guess the second thing that I would put out there, aside from cash flow, was just trying to understand how things would be different post. What's going to be different post. And there we've made post this big event, and there we've made a lot of changes. Similar perhaps to Zoe and what Catherine experiences with their businesses. Shop local, buy local, deal direct. All of that stuff has become very, very salient for us and for our guests. And lucky for us, we own the properties. We deal directly with the guests. I spend the time to sit with them when they're not sure whether their wedding is going to go ahead or whatever it is. It takes a lot of time to hold hands with people. So trying to kind of think about all of that, dealing directly with the customer. And I think many businesses in Cumbria are not like, we don't have many businesses in Cumbria like Procter & Gamble or Gillette or, HP Computers or, whatever. A lot of the businesses in Cumbria are founder promoter, family orientated businesses, like many of those that Catherine has selected to be on this call. And I think that that's going to be a real advantage to us going forward, because people are definitely in touch with that as an issue. And I guess the other thing that I found difficult was just the stress. I felt so alone, and by myself dealing with these problems, or by myself with my husband, and that was really difficult. And we were lucky, Catherine and I together, that we were part of a Cumbria Chamber of Commerce peer networking group and joined into that, and that was incredibly helpful. So I do think that if we find ourselves in a situation like this again, I surely hope that Catherine will get us all back on the line, all 37 of us, and say, hey guys, this is pretty tough. Why don't we share some stories about how difficult it is, and just, okay, it's tried. A burden shared is a burden halved. But I tell you what, even though there was nothing at all that Catherine could do from Loving the Artisan to help us with our holiday rental business, it sure as heck was helpful to talk to somebody else who was facing difficulties. And that, is a real learning for me about reaching out to other businesses, and particularly other women in the business. It's been one of the best things, and one of the biggest successes, I think, for this, is the opportunity to outreach to people, which we might not have taken pre-COVID. So that's my minutes on challenges.
Thank you so much, Christine, and thanks for the plug for the peer-to-peer network. You hear that, Jackie? We got a plug. Christine, can I ask you a quick question? How many staff do you have?
We have 10 direct employees. We have 10 people whose 100% of their livelihood rests on us, but they have a few external relationships, and we're probably supporting and collaborating and make a big difference to probably another 10 to 15 businesses in the local area.
Fantastic.
And it's not just us. I was mentioning before the call, if we're doing 20,000 guest nights a year, which we are, and each of those guests spends 30 quid a day, which they probably do if you think about going to the shop, going to the pub, having a tea, buying a bottle of gin, that's 600,000 pounds of revenue coming into the local economy. And that's just us. It'd be much the same for Michelle's or cottages as well. All of those guests would be spending in the local area, and I just think it's a responsibility for us, and others on this call, involved with local businesses, to help each other out, to do what we can to build a network, particularly of women-orientated businesses. We only have about 4 men in our flipping business because women are so good at customer service. I particularly like women. Don't repeat this, but I'm very ageist. I particularly like older women. Somebody over 40, brilliant. Just love that. Most of our women are older. So
thank you. Thanks so much, Christine. I do appreciate that. And Catherine, because Christine mentioned you so often in that conversation, we're going to go over to you now. So what challenges did Lovingly Artisan and Catherine Connor face during the pandemic and lockdown?
So, my list is very similar to Helen's and Christine. Our biggest fear initially was cash flow. We have a slightly different business to the team online this afternoon, but our business has primarily made the investment prior to the payment. So we bake the bread, we make the deliveries, and then we wait 4 weeks and the payments come in. We could see this happening, and I'm just going to very quickly share this tip with everybody online listening. One of the things Aidan and I did, and we still do, is we are avid listeners to world news. We get up at a ridiculous hour, so we're often at work at 3 a.m. and we listen to world news. And as we were listening to world news, and we still are, we could hear and we could start to prepare for what was heading our way. Even though we were preparing ourselves, so our eateries took a step back, we stopped providing food, we changed how the business operated, we introduced COVID measures before we had to, we could predict what was going to unfold. What we didn't predict, like many of you, is the bread that was leaving 2 days leading up to the lockdown wouldn't initially be paid for. So we'd paid for the flour, we were paying for the electric, we were paying for the wages, we had put all of the investment into the product. And then that glorious date in March arrived. And that had to be for us, and for many people online this afternoon, a very, very frightening point. And I'm going to home in on that for all of us. All of us face business challenges. We've been through, I'm going to show my age now, folks, but we've been through foot and mouth, we've been through the floods, we've been through recessions, but never have we faced a pandemic when safety became number one and number two was emotions. So we had in the background, as two very responsible business owners, the responsibility of cash flow, paying the wages. I don't know if we all can remember, but the furlough came a little bit later down the line. The grant schemes came a little bit later down the line. Many of us for 4 weeks were staring into a horizon that looked really frightening. So we got practical and we dealt with the monies, and that has remained with us. We're very watchful for that. And then our biggest challenge, and the one we grabbed hold of with two hands, was the emotions that we had on the coalface. A very frightened team that were facing a consumer, and that consumer was also very frightened, and that consumer all of a sudden didn't quite know how to shop. Do I stand on the disc? When do I move from the disc? Do I come up to you? Do I wear a visor? Do I wear a mask? I'm going to wait for Boris to tell me. What do we do? So all of a sudden we all had to relearn how to shop, and we had to relearn how to trade. So our second biggest thing that we implemented was a WhatsApp group. And very similar to Christine, every single day we did a well-being check-in with all of the girls, because all of them, and I don't know if this is very similar with everybody online, I'm really interested if it is, all of the team, self-included, went through a variety of emotions. And all of us faced a very unsure consumer. And it's interesting, in the grocer today, it was saying in the grocer today that abuse and violence in the retail sector, so the food retail sector, is up by 7%. Now, I've got to tell all of you online, I felt all of that 7% at times. At stages, we had every day a team member cry because they were either frightened or facing a very hostile audience. So Aidan and I had to very quickly change how we looked after our consumer. They were so critically important to us. And that philosophy and approach is very much part of our route map now. And there is lots I could share with all of you about how we prepare to take the business forward. Remember, I'm still listening to World News over the next 12 months. So we are super organised. So, you know, on one hand, you have all the practicalities of making sure your business flows and it has cash. And on the other hand, you have to make sure that you really nurture those emotions of people you employ and people you serve. And they were really huge challenges. And the rest of the challenges we faced was just stuff that you deal with in business. And that stuff has become how we now, you know, run our business and how we run it today. So there's loads and loads of challenges, you know, adapting, changing the business. I'm so excited to tell you all about, you know, what we did to reinvent the business. And I'm definitely, and Catherine knows this, I'm definitely one of those that really grabbed hold of this whole pandemic thing. I thought, I'm not being funny, girls, but I'm not having a virus control what's happening in my life. You know, one of the things that we all get super happy about is having a vision, having something to focus upon, and that's what we want to do in business. And this pesky little virus was coming along, messing up my daydreams, interfering with how I want to run the business. And my God, did it steal some money.
Don't give too much away for the second part of the question, Catherine.
Yeah, it's a massive challenge for all of us, because when you run a business, you have your vision, you have your focus, you have your daydreams. And this pesky little pandemic came along, and it was like one big eraser. It was like rubbing them all out. And I'm like, I'm not sure about this. So, you know, I've made some new daydreams. I've made some new visions. I've started a new vision board, and I've become a lot wiser. And I think what we all must do is use the pain to get to the gain in the next decade of business that we enter, and it will be very much like the one we're in now. I really do feel that.
Thanks, Catherine. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Very, very, very motivational. Thank you. Right, from Catherine, from bread to alcohol, we're going over to Zoe. Hi, Zoe. So, Zoe, what challenges did you face through the pandemic and through the lockdown, and what challenges did the business face?
Right, well, I can agree with pretty much everything that people are saying, and I want to talk also more about personally what happened. But for the business itself, we opened the shed to the public in October 2019. And at that point, so we went from our little garden shed where we didn't see anybody apart from at markets and shows. We suddenly had this amazing space, and it's a beautiful space that we put a heck of a lot of money into, designing it, putting it together, and making it a beautiful gin space. And things were going quite well, and we started the experiences, and the bar was open every so often during the week, and it was lovely. And we realized how much we enjoyed having people here and hosting people. And actually, we didn't realize how much we would enjoy showing people what we did. And so we were getting very heavily into it and thinking, this is brilliant. And then, you know, slowly building it up, there were bookings for national journalists about to come and see us. There were travel agents from Europe who were going to come and see us, and it was all there. And you could just see, the whole thing zooming up. And yeah, we got closed. The whole thing just got closed down because of lockdown. And of course, when it all got closed down, again, cash flow, trade just stopped. Everything stopped coming in. So we were also in the process of trying to find a couple of people to help us to work with us. And we're just very grateful that thankfully that did not happen at that point, because the responsibility of having to look after other people in such a terrible time. It's great what Catherine did, and others have been able to, but it would have been awful if we'd managed to get people and then immediately having to say, I'm sorry. So that was going on. But then on the second day, and please tell me if I do talk too long, on the second day, a lot happened. On the second day, second day of lockdown, we got a phone call from the hospice, in Ulverston asking us if we would be able to supply them with sanitizer. Now it's a different license. You can't just take the alcohol you use for gin, make it into sanitizer and flog it. You need licenses, you need all sorts of things. And of course we had no cash flow. And we also didn't believe that we could charge people for sanitizer. We just didn't believe that was right. So we got in touch with HMRC. They sorted out the licenses. They were doing them very fast, really fast track. And we used the alcohol that we had. And then I got online and put a Just Giving page up and said, if anybody is able to donate, we're making it, we'll get it out, we'll deliver it, but we need money in order to get the ingredients. And the amazing thing was that within 2-3 weeks, we'd been given $6.5 grand by the public and by other companies, which was absolutely fabulous. But of course, then we were setting up a brand new social enterprise that we'd never done before, and trying to figure out all of that and what that goes with it. So that was a massive challenge, and it was a massive learning curve. And it also meant that every single day we were getting phone calls from desperate people, and that was hell. Everybody, you know, care homes, carers, the NHS, homeless support, food banks. And we were hearing some absolutely appalling things that were going on. Excuse me, to get a bit emotional about it. So it was wonderful that we could help, but also at the same time, there was a huge amount of stress to try and get it to happen. And then we were still trying to make, you know, we were still making some gin as well. So all that was going on. And we had all these experiences, and we couldn't do anything at the shed. So we had to rethink what we were going to do there. So lots of challenges were going on then. And quite frankly, both our mental and physical health went completely down the tubes. My husband, Andrew, has a genetic condition, which means he gets skin cancer. It just arrives, it happens, it just goes on and on and on. And he has a particular treatment that he has at home that he can use. However, in order for us to do the sanitizer, we needed to be in the public. To be in the public, he decided to stop that treatment, otherwise it would have made him vulnerable and he would have to stay at home, which means I would have had to stay at home. So we changed all that around, and even now he goes to Christie's every month to have skin cancer treatment that way. And my mental health went to such a point where I actually became suicidal. And it was a good 5 weeks where every day I was working and doing everything that you had to do to keep the business going, but at the same time, just wanting to end it all every minute of the day. So, and that's what happened. And it was hell. It really was hell. Thankfully, things were, and I will, you know, I'm still here, so everything's okay. And it's very difficult. And you talk about people being there to help and all of that. But I actually found, and I spoke to others who afterwards about this, that we found a massive challenge was that whole social media networking smiles. That you had to get to have these meetings with people, you had to be there, and everybody's being very positive and saying, oh, it's this, and they're talking about their homeschooling and they're talking about this, and you're dying inside. You know, you literally are dying. And then you're sitting there, you know, with your Instagram and your Facebook, and you're putting the big pictures up and saying how wonderful everything is, and you're dying inside. So, as said, the challenges of the business, there were many. The challenges for ourselves, those were the ones that the other things I think we could have coped with, but the other things were getting very, very difficult. However, as I said, the lights are still on, we are still here, we are regrowing, and I'll tell you the positive bit afterwards.
Sorry, thank you so much. I really, and I can see from all the messages that are coming in, everybody's sending their love and saying how brave you are. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It's something that I think is vital that people do take into account when we're talking about success and the mental health side of it. So thank you so much, Zoe.
To be perfectly honest, and thank you, and I've only just seen the messages. It's really, really kind of you all to say such nice things. I don't know if it is brave. To me, I think the only way that I could get through it, because if you want to know more about it, I actually wrote an article on LinkedIn a few months ago and just said, this is what's happened. And for me, that was the only way that it was kind of a moving on, another step forward of this is what's happening and I can't deny it. And I don't know what to do about it. I'm just going to get on and do what I need to do. But there we are. So I understand people saying about it's brave to talk about it, but truly, we've got to bloody talk about it. And we have to be there, and we've got to stop making it something because that you have to hide. And I think also this is a thing both with women and men. I mean, I think probably a lot of us know somebody who hasn't made it, you know, and it's heartbreaking. And I think we can support each other and we don't have to smile all the time. And it doesn't have to be a competition either, because I think some people will then think, oh, well, I'm not having a bad a time as you are. Who cares? You know, you're having a bad time, whatever it is, however level you want to put on it, it's a bad time. So, you know, it'd be really nice if we could just all go, yeah, I feel crap. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
anyway,
agree.
I will
Thank
shut
you,
up now. No problem.
No, thank you so much, Zoe. Thank you for sharing that. Really, really appreciate it. Right, from Zoe, Michelle, I'm going to move over to yourself. You've got a hard act to follow, Michelle.
I just want to give her a little kiss and a cuddle. Just give you a little cuddle. There you go, pal. Well, I could talk about my business, but you know, we're all the same. It was all just crap, wasn't it, really? You know, nobody knew how long it was going to go for. We had staff, we were going into year 3. So my thing is, same as everybody, uncertainty. What the hell does the word furlough mean? No idea, absolutely none. Do they qualify? Do they have it? How much is it? Am I going to have to remortgage my house? Absolutely no idea. Yeah, uncertainty. I think I was a bit naive as well. Catherine, I'm going to have to get the world news on. Like, I had actually no idea. I literally went into work and I had to close one day and I was like, naivety, thickness, not sure. But world news, I'm going to get on it. Communication, you know, mentioned before, we are a hand-holding business. Our owners come to us. I mean, they could go to massive corporate people. And I think they come to us just because we do great cups of tea. And we are hand holders, you know, through the whole process, whether it's bringing your cottage on, whether it's going on holiday. So I phoned every one of my owners, and we have quite a lot of cottages, phoned them all individually, and we actually phoned all our guests. And we've got hundreds and thousands of them, but it was the best way for us because everybody had their own story. And then we did have a board in the office that had the people that lived on their own, or had the people that were poorly in hospital. So I work with my mum, and we had the board. And so we phoned Mr. Johnson every 3 weeks just to make sure he was all right, because these people hadn't seen anyone for weeks and not spoken to anyone for weeks. So, you know, they're not bothered about the booking. I don't care, you can have a full refund. But it was just being on the end of the phone for someone, really. That took quite a long time. But yeah, hand holders. Finances, horrific. The best thing was, how long can you keep going? I remember me and Adam saying that, Adam's my husband, now, right, we've got this. How long is it going to last? I don't know. I was expecting me back open in 4 weeks. So naivety, Catherine, naivety. Yeah, how long can you keep going? I don't know. But obviously we're still open, so we did. It was all right. But that's all we did, is just budgets and worst case scenario. And thankfully, my husband plans for the worst case scenario, and anything is quite, I would say, not miserable, just realistic. We'll go with realistic, not so much miserable. But thank God he is, because I'd have just blown it all and we would have been closed by now. So yeah, there. I think one of my main things was you're talking about, you know, social media and be kind. Well, that went straight out the window, didn't it? I thought it went straight out the window because I'm a holiday cottage company. So I am, you know, public enemy number one to locals around here. Sometimes not local, I am local. You just didn't know what to put. You didn't, like, do you shout about it? Do you know, we've given all our, you know, we've fully refunded all our people. But then it was, oh, there's still tourists coming to the area. Are they though? Or are they just stretching the legs? What constitutes as being local? 20 minutes, 10 minutes, car ride, no car ride? Who the hell am I to say that nobody can travel from Lancaster half an hour away to walk up a fell if they're feeling so crap? So it was just like, just shut up. I think everyone just needs to remove themselves from social media. So I did. That was a challenge though, because we're quite honest on social media. We try to be, but I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it because I just didn't agree with so many things that were going on that it's sometimes you've got nothing nice to say, just shut up. So I think that was definitely a challenge. So yeah, uncertainty, communicating, social media, and actually mum guilt. I don't know if anyone else got that, but I was absolutely riddled with mum guilt. I have two children, they're nearly 15 and 13. So they're at secondary school doing homeschooling, which, you know, was completely useless the first few weeks. But my husband, because he's a gem, decided to take my kitchen out of my house 2 weeks before lockdown, and like a whole wall. So our house was actually held up by acros when we went into lockdown. So I had no heating, no kitchen sink. I had a camping stove. My kids hated me because we had no kitchen, they couldn't cook, they couldn't do stuff. And I was at work at 5:30 every day. So I think mum guilt was probably hard. Like keeping the business together, yeah, that's fine. You know, everyone has those challenges, but I just felt really bad. Like I just felt, I try and do 100,000,000 things every day. Like I still pick my kids up from work, from school, but I make sure I'm at work at 6:30 every morning so I can try and have the best of both worlds. It's very, very important to me to do that. But lockdown, I just felt terrible. And then you see the locals that are slamming the people that have gone for a walk under the blooming coffin route. You know, oh, how peaceful, no tourists. That's great, but I'm just going to put it out there. You're on furlough and I'm not, and I'm a director and I'm skint, and my kids haven't seen daylight because I've not been there, and they're still at home on the crap laptops that I'm going to have to try and get, but I refuse to pay 800 quid for a new one. So yeah, mum guilt. That was probably a good egg. Mum guilt was a bad one.
Michelle, I'm going to ask you straight to go into your successes then. So yeah, that. That's great. Thank you very much.
Like me, I think. One of the like ducked under to feed the dogs, but yeah, Richard like me. Successes. My kids grew up. I've always been self-employed, so they know how hard I work and why I do what I do. My success is, you know, cringingly, is my family with Adam and my boys and the stupid dog. But so yeah, I think the kids are teenagers and they definitely saw what hard work was, and I think they will never forget it. So there's a how did I do it? I stopped drinking. Hey Zoe, I stopped drinking. That was just completely like 3 months. I was like, you know what, I'm just not going to do it because I kept crying a lot, just tiredness, I think. So I decided to stop drinking alcohol like for a long time, and it did really help. Yeah, it did help. But then we just decided to draw a line, put my big girl pants on and keep growing and keep doing what I wanted to do and get the business plan back out and go, all right, come on, Boris, ruin my life a little bit more. Let's try and just keep going. So that's what we did. So I think how did I get them? We doubled our cottage portfolio, and that was quite good, hard work. But yeah, we've doubled in size, basically. We doubled in staff. we opened the new office. That was annoying because we opened it like 2 days before the November lockdown. Bad timing. But yeah, we just kept growing, and we just decided to stop feeling sorry for ourselves and keep going, which was difficult. And it is paying off now. And I love my job. Like everybody here, like I am very, very passionate about it, obviously. But I do love my kids more. So normally, so it is paying off, but I don't feel that I've reached, it's not over. So it's definitely not over. I have 3 days booked off next week, for which will be the first time I turn my phone and my laptop off in about 14 months. And I'm just going to throw it in the lake somewhere if, you know, it does go off again. But that'll be the first time that we've had family time in a long time, which isn't cool. It's not good. That's not a good thing. And
I wish you the absolute loveliest time, Michelle. You know, that I think that's fantastic. And there's a couple of people there in the chat mentioned your honesty, and yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, mum guilt the whole way, absolutely. Yeah, from someone else that wasn't furloughed, absolutely mum guilt the whole way. So yeah, thank you so much, Michelle. I really appreciate that. That was absolutely great. So from Michelle, I'm going to go back to Christine. Christine, successes, and I know you've had a few.
Yeah, I guess I really pick up on what Michelle has to say, and we all have mum guilt. No matter what we do, we were locked down with our kids too, and I feel the same. I think this has been tough for little kids, and tough for Charlie's, my husband's mom, because she's on her own, having lost his father. So, you know, all of the folks who are on their own and the young people, I think, suffer the most through all of this. But we're talking about successes here. So the first thing that I would like to comment on in terms of success, that's a real takeaway from this, is just taking the time. You know, I think one of the things that COVID has given us is time. So the time to sit down with our team, the time to talk to the guests. And I've learned that you also don't have to immediately respond to an incoming email. Take your time. You know, there've been, you know, many instances, and we talked about this again in our peer networking group. You don't need to respond immediately to a guest who's saying something awful to you, or a customer that's saying something awful to you, or a challenge of a team member. Sometimes it's sufficient to say, you know, whoa, I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to take a little bit of time and think about that and come back to you. And I think that could be something that's a really helpful learning. And it's so tempting these days in an age of social media, when somebody zings an email in, it's very tempting to zing one right back to them. And sometimes it can be better just to give yourself a bit of time. And I think that's one thing that we all have learned. The second thing that I want to just take away as a success is this concept of collaboration. I have really got on that page through COVID. And I think that is just something where we can all build on success. Everybody knows other people in the local area who have businesses. And it's worth thinking about how we can support them. And I'm not talking, it doesn't make any financial difference to our business, but it feels good, and it feels like it's the right thing to do. And this sort of outreaching that we have, particularly in our little community, you know, maybe less so in big metropolitan areas, but definitely it's something really important in Cumbria. Because if you lose these little businesses, like we've lost our village shop in Malmeby, and we've also lost a lovely antique shop called La Vacante. And when they go, they're gone. So it's our responsibility as local business owners and, you know, people operating in this economy to support those guys. Buy your stuff there. Don't buy it in flipping Morrison's, you know? And I think that's a really important thing. And maybe that speaks also to sustainability. And I guess the other success for us is just diversification. So we've diversified a lot into PYO. We're building up those family businesses. We're really trying to draw out the best of what Cumbria has to bring to the table. And I think that is stuff where people are spending time together. And, you know, when people talked about what they wanted to do post-lockdown, I didn't hear a single person say, I want to go to Paris and walk up the Champs-Elysees. It was, I want to go to the pub with a mate. I want to have a coffee. I want to go for a walk outside. I want to see my mom and dad. I want to see my auntie. Do you know what I mean? It was all about little stuff and reconnecting with people. And I'm really clear that, you know, as with Michelle's business, that's a lot of what we do at the Rowley Estates. We are often multi-generational family holidays. people getting together that haven't been together in a long time. And I think that is something that now people realize is where they want to spend their consumer dollars. And and I think the more that we can take away from that, the more successes our businesses will have in the future. And if our guests love the Loving the Artisan gin and try the Shed One distillery and love the kind of the fudge and toffee shop stuff, or enjoy going trekking with Park Foot, or whatever it is, and then come on back, then that's a great success. That's a great success for us and our local community. So our business it's our family name, it's our family crest. We've been in this area for 5 or 6 generations. We're custodians, so my kids are involved in the business, much as with Catherine's, and we have to hand on our business and caretake our area for the next generation. When we talk about developing the family woodlands, we're talking about a multi-story woodland, with levels at the ground and higher levels and mixed species and diversified and getting people out there. It takes decades. We've been operating our business for 2.5 decades, and the farming and forestry and raspberry business goes back 45 years. So, it takes a long time to build a business. It's like planting a garden. It's not something that happens in a few years. One of the advantages that we all have as local businesses or founder promoter businesses is taking that long view. There's not a single overpaid chief executive officer in all of Cumbria, as far as I can tell. There's no board thinking about their golf matches. It just doesn't exist. What we've got is a collection of smaller, family-owned, family-promoted, often first or second generation businesses, and that's something to celebrate. And celebrate those successes. So that's my thought about
Wonderful,
the
lovely,
successes that I would have.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Christine. Yeah, and couldn't agree with you more. The opportunity to celebrate. Lovely. Thank you. Helen, can I hand over to you? Talk about your successes.
Yes. Yeah. So successes. First of all, although honestly, I'm absolutely engrossed in what everyone's saying, so that I forgot that I was part of the panel for a second there, so sorry about that. So although we did kind of lose some clients, we were able to continue to grow over the last year. Businesses were still needing to promote themselves, to let their customers know they were still there, still working. And it seemed that everyone's workload had kind of increased, all these challenges that every business was facing, everyone working was facing. We were hopefully well positioned to be able to kind of alleviate some of that pressure by providing the services that we do. But because of that actually threw up a few more challenges. We had to recruit during a pandemic. So we now have people on the team that I've only met a number of times, yet I work really closely with them. We've got a digital marketing apprentice who I haven't actually met in real life before, but he's a part of the team. He's the person that I'm, in everyday interactions, but I haven't shared an office with him. So yeah, recruiting during a pandemic was a challenge, but it was a success because it's meant we've been able to grow our team. And like a few people have mentioned, cash flow, we did have to crunch the numbers fairly early on, being completely honest. What did those worst case scenarios look like? But we'd recently kind of changed accountants, and although things were up in the air, it forced us to kind of look properly at the numbers. You can't just get by thinking someone else is going to be looking into that. It's like on you. So that forced us to put some procedures in place to know what a good month looked like, to see if we can predict when there was going to be a bad month, and putting things in place to make sure we could kind of weather those storms. We took the important decision basically to surround ourselves within the business with people that were experts in their own specialist areas. I am not an accountant, but now I've got an accountant that I know is on it and that I can trust, and any big decision I will run past them. Another of our challenges, as it's been mentioned, is that tone of voice for social media. It was toxic, it was strange, the whole thing, it was a very strange thing to kind of to balance when you're saying, we'll do some lovely posts for you. It's like, well, what do you say when so much is going on, that whole year? But one of our most successful campaigns, we worked with the Cumberland for the 100 Thank Yous campaign. So basically 100 thank yous. We found 100 people across our region who kind of symbolised the extraordinary response to the COVID-19 crisis. But it wasn't just us deciding. We asked members of the public to submit the people that had kind of gone above and beyond in their community to nominate them. And then there was like a public thank you. We got a really beautiful little memento, and all these 100 people were presented with this. There was, there were nurses, there were volunteers, there were people in, supermarkets. There was right across the board. But a lot of those people kind of symbolise the similar kind of people in their community that they were kind of representing. So it's well worth a Google if you didn't see it, because the stories were really inspiring and really amazing. Another success was we finally moved office, like I mentioned. We have this space where completely unexpectedly we can now do pop-up events, exhibitions, shops. And it's also a space that we probably wouldn't have considered if we hadn't have been able to grow. And I don't know how big we would have grown if the pandemic, you don't know what it would have been like. So it feels like this is just where we're meant to be. So in a way, that's a good thing. I see it as a success. And also finally, being asked to be on this panel. If you had asked me, are you successful? I'd be like, what? I wouldn't have said that. It feels like a bit of an icky thing to admit to. It's like getting a compliment. Oh, I love your top. It's like, oh, it was in the sale. I can't remember who had said it, but it was in one of your videos, Catherine, that success should be celebrated. So I'm really pleased to be here. And I really think that like everyone on the panel and even, everyone kind of tuning in, you're a success and every small thing should be celebrated and there's no ick about it. So, yeah.
Thank you, Helen. That was lovely. Thank you. And I just want to say that I did follow the 100 thank yous. And there was more than one time that I had an absolute lump in my throat because I felt it was recognizing normal, everyday people, and I thought that it was a very, very special campaign that you did. So thank you for that, Helen. It was really, it was brilliant. Thank you. Right, from Helen to Catherine. Catherine, what are your successes? And again, I know one of them already.
I've got a bit of a lump in my throat listening to, such incredible stories, and a bit like you, Helen, I've just fallen into the moment with everybody. So one of our big successes, like all of us, we had to be really nimble, is the whole reinvention of the business unfolded and gave us an opportunity to go organic and to start to implement all of the things that, a bit like Helen, might have taken us years to achieve. And the time, as Christine rightly says, gave us the opportunity to go totally organic, all matching our beliefs in well-being. We launched and created a new nationwide delivery service. We knew we had to reach out to more customers and we knew we had to reach out fast. So we rebranded, we took lots of pictures and we went national, and we did it at quite a pace. The pandemic didn't, for many of us, give us much time to think or find the what ifs. It was just let's get on and do. And that's been incredible. We created a new bread box that would become a bread bin. We were really aware of what we were doing and the impact it would have on the planet. So very much similar to Zoe, everything was really carefully considered, and that led to most recently getting a Small Business Green Award, because we wanted to grow, but we needed to grow alongside our values. We reinvented a whole new bread menu because of the challenges of social distancing in the bakery and a reduced team. We redesigned, refined every single recipe and decided that on the counter would only be Total Beliefs. And that has been incredible. We collaborated. That was the big thing. It was really lonely out there. And when I was listening to Zoe, Zoe kindly, reminded all of us of you know, many a dark time. I know we're talking about successes, but I do believe that the yin and the yang, you know, the challenges remind you how to make some considered choice and how we all want to choose for our businesses in the future. So it'll go in organic, introduce a new bread range, making it more accessible, really thinking about what we produced and the why was really, really important, and collaborating. So we collaborated with great friends, Mrs. Kirkham's Cheese. Many of you know, the cheese industry faced a great challenge. Graham has been a good friend of Aidan's for many, many years. And we rang him up and we basically said, we're going to inspire loads of bakers to use your cheese. And we're going to create cheese and Marmite, cheese and chili. And we created some great breads, and they've been incredibly successful for him. And that was really important to our values. And we're collaborating with Christine, collaborating with all other holiday companies. The whole thing for us has been about thinking broader. And, 80% of our business used to be wholesale, and that made the business vulnerable. And I'm going to learn a lot from this last 18 months. And I want to be reminded of it all of the time as we make choices and decisions in the future. One of the biggest things that perhaps so far for all of us listening to Michelle and Zoe and you, Helen, and Christine, all of us, and God, I wish I could listen to all the women online, is, we're learning how to manage the inner engine, and that's our hearts and souls. Zoe, we had a few, scary moments ourselves emotionally, because we are all very, I'm going to use the word ambitious, but we're all ambitious, but we're like little butterflies, aren't we? We dance around at all these great ideas that we have, but we're actually quite fragile too. So I think for me, a big success for me has been really knowing who I want to be in the business and how I want to be in the business. And I think this last 12 months has really changed me, has really changed who I am. I've lost friends, good friends, through the pandemic, and I've watched my mum travel through it, and she struggled. And at the same time, I've relearned how to be a better mum. We've got 2 kids, they're really grown up. One was on furlough, and he soon got hijacked into the business as a van driver, and he loved it. And I had the opportunity to be up at 1 a.m, twice a week, with a boy that I'd barely spoken to for years, because he worked in theatre and I worked one end of the day and he worked the other. And I think the joy of getting up at 1 a.m. and knowing I could spend that quality time with Niall, I can't tell you, it was bliss. And I think when he had to go back to the brewery, I cried. I was like, oh, I'm losing my best mate now. And again, that has really taught Aidan and I about what we want the business to be in the future, and how this business at any time will take our kids in and employ them, and one we do already. So, my success has been, I think the big one is really understanding the business more and what we want it to be, and having a business that we're incredibly proud of, and having a business that's got some fresh values, and collaboration is a big one. Looking after people's well-being is enormous, and it always will be. And in all of that, guys, we built a retail business while this was going on. And, one of the stores went from having 1 till to a hopeful queue every day to 3 queues. I'll tell you a quick funny story, girls. Last Saturday, our driver was in Manchester just as everything opened up, and Aidan was as well, delivering. And they were both in the city, ringing each other, checking the traffic. And Barry had just left, and Aidan said, God, you want to see the queue outside Federal Cafe? It's enormous. And Aidan said, no shit, Sherlock, the queue outside your own business is a lot bigger than Federal's. And Aidan rang me and he went, how are you doing? I went, just keeping my head down. It's a bit hairy. Because in all of that time, going back to what many of you said, especially Michelle, we knew that some of our more mature customers, we might be the only thing they see that day. So we gave them time, and we talked to them, and we made sure they were okay. And we went cardless. apart from all pensioners. You know, I wasn't going to take an old lady through contactless and stressing her out, no chance. We looked after them, we made sure they were okay, and we're maintaining all of that you know, those values and that philosophy. And so there's been so many positives. But I think the big thing that's come from our peer network that Chrissy and I talked about, and even being online with you lot, is how, and thank you, Joe, thank you, Catherine, and thank you, Martha, how essential we are to each other. And even though we've got a few ticks and we can go high five, folks, we've got some good stuff going on here, it's teaching us how much we need each other, because it's been tough. And I think, Michelle, many of us have been a bit tired. You know, there's lots of times I've said I'm overtired. Apologies in advance if I sound grumpy, because we've all witnessed, I know you all don't mind me saying this, we've all witnessed people that say, oh, I'm on furlough, I'm having a really good time, we're having a barbecue this afternoon. I'm like, oh, great. We're really busy and we're really tired, and I'm not on furlough. And a bit like Michelle, I'm desperate for July because I can see a holiday on the horizon. So, you know, for a lot of us, we've worked hard, but we've worked hard at something we believe in. And those good choices, as Helen said, we're all making, has helped us really perhaps nurture a business that we understand more. So I don't know if that helps or otherwise, but I can honestly say, this has been like medicine for the soul, listening to you guys. It's been so inspiring.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Catherine. That was truly, Catherine. Thank you very much, Catherine. That was wonderful. Thank you. So our last panelist for this question, over to you, Zoe. So Zoe, what were your successes?
Well, yes, and some of them very similar. Of course, on a simple within the business collaborations, we've always collaborated, but we were able to do a lot more online collaborations, and we started, instead of, because we couldn't have the gin tastings in the shed, we did gin tastings online. And in fact, although it was lovely for the people to come you know, via Zoom, it actually was really positive for us, because it meant in this strange way that people were in the shed. And so after each gin tasting, we were lifted, because we were doing what we were supposed to be doing, was talking about what we love to, you know, what we love to do and what we love to talk about. So they became a very positive thing, and something that we looked forward to doing. And it was lovely. You'd have two people from a family coming in one time, and then the next month they brought 9 of their other family who were dotted all over the country, and you're all chatting and you're all talking. And we've always kept everything small, so it's more personal. So we'd only have, say, 24 people Zooming, and we'd all be able to chat. And it just was like having them in the shed. So that was really positive, and it was that adapting what we could do. Can't have people here to make your own gin, so we created a make your own gin tin with all the botanicals, and then there's a link with us showing you how to do it and all of that, and that went down really well. And we got some lovely feedback from people saying, oh, I've done it and it's brilliant and I love it and I'm going to do it again. And so, yeah, trying to find ways to keep our name out there, make sure that people knew that we were still around. The online sales, of course, did go up, even though the wholesale had gone. And then slowly wholesale did. We actually, which had started before lockdown, we'd started the process. We became a wedding venue in June. So that was quite hilarious, really. And we even managed to have a wedding in October last year, which was the exact 1 year to the day that the shed had officially opened. And so that was quite an emotional day for everybody. And it was lovely, 15 people, the whole sort of the distancing and everything else. So that was a real positive. And again, being able to see people in the shed. And I think, like Catherine and others were saying, what do we want to do? How can we survive this and and enjoy it, because what we realized is we hadn't been enjoying it. Yeah, it was just a really, really hard slog. So it was that case of how do we figure out getting back to that point where we can do that. And so we looked at all the different roles in the company. And in fact, this morning, I did my first interview with potentially one of 2 Kickstart people that we hopefully will be employing very, very soon. Yes, thank you, Eve, for all your help. You've been incredible. So, and that's been great. And it's also, we've never been an employer before, so it's another great way of us to be able to do it that way rather than what we were doing first of all, and helping somebody to get back out there as well. So that's another thing. The marketing side, yeah, I realized that I can do the social media, but a part of it. So now we're getting somebody to do our marketing. So we're saying it costs us money, but what do we get from it? And that's what you've got to figure out, haven't you? Social media wise, like Michelle, I came off my personal social media completely. With the business side, I'd go in, and to an extent I do still. I go in, I post, I respond, I get out, and that's the way I look for my social Facebook. I don't even look at it anymore. It's not something that I want to get involved with. But what I have been involved with is that it is, people talk about finding your tribe and all of that, but the friends who has been it's been so busy for the last few years that you haven't been able to talk to certain people. And so once a month now, we have a lovely Zoom with my friends in Connecticut, who I miss terribly, but it's like having them in the living room for a couple of hours every one, and reconnecting with people that, hold on, I've missed you. I want to be around you. They're the important people in my life. And business is business, and you do find business, but your friends are so important. And sometimes when you're running your own business, they just get pushed to the sidelines, and it's really it becomes quite negative, and then you feel bad, and then it goes on and on and on. So personally, as I say, Andrew and I are doing okay. Mentally, it's day to day. I got a therapist for a few months, and some days are good and some days are bad, but it's like everything. And I think what you have to understand with mental illness, it's an everyday thing. It's not something you can figure it out and then you can forget about it. So I will continue to keep doing that. Andrew and I have survived. It is today our wedding anniversary, so we're still together. We managed it, so that's okay. And also, I have to say, because success also is about awards as well, and we've been incredibly amazed, really, by some of the awards we've managed to get in the last year with all of this going on. World Gin Awards, we got, one of our gins got that. Amazingly, the World Gin Awards shortlisted the Old Calf Shed as a best visitor attraction, which we didn't know anything about at all. So that was amazing and such a massive boost. And this is what the awards are all about. It's celebrating those tiny things, celebrating the big things, not just letting them pass by. And if anybody does have any messages for Mr. Johnson, we're going to Downing Street tomorrow because we're meant to be launching with him the Together for Our Planet, which is all about the sustainability within small and medium-sized businesses, which we received our second, the Global Gin Guides Award. We won the sustainability for the second year running a couple of months ago, which was brilliant. So yes, I'm not really sure what's going to happen tomorrow, but we think we might take some helmets and flak jackets in case there might be grenades and bullets and all sorts of things going on. But anyway, so it's look after yourself, enjoy, just put it all into context and try and reach out to whoever it is who can help you, whether that be professional, personal, or whatever, and just say thank you. And thank you everybody for being here, and it has been inspirational listening to everybody, and I really hope that our paths will cross again in the future. So thank you, Cumbria Chamber, and everybody for putting this together.
Thank you so much, Zoe. Thank you very, very much. Again, inspirational. You're all inspirational. You're all honest. I can't. Catherine and Helen said the same thing that I did. I forgot that I was hosting it, and I was just getting so involved with everybody speaking, and then it was like you'd stop and I'd think, oh, that's me. So thank you again, everybody. Now, I'm officially we're supposed to finish at 4:30. I'm going to do a couple of thank yous, and then we're going to switch off the recording. Those who would like to stay behind for a little bit longer, if you've got any questions for the panel that can stay, please, that would be absolutely wonderful if you could. I'm happy to carry on for a little bit longer, but I would like to say, while I still have everybody, again, thank you to the panel. Thank you for your honesty. Thanks for your inspiration. It's been more than I hoped for. Thank you so, so much. And again, thank you, Joanne, for this idea, because it absolutely worked. And with Joanne in mind, again, thank you, Baines Wilson, for sponsoring this event. I am so looking forward to the next one. With regards to the next one, keep your eyes out, ladies, because the plan is in July, we will not only be doing the success, talking success, but we're hoping to do the talking and walking success in July, and actually making a bit of a time of it with a bit of a picnic. And anyway, so keep your eye out for that. That's definitely in the planning stages. But Joanne, can I hand over to you to say a couple of things, to say, you know, just to close it off, if you wouldn't mind. Joanne there?
Yep, sorry, just unmuting myself.
Oh, there you are, there you are.
Yeah, so, well, it's been an amazing afternoon, I think, and so many great things I think I've learned personally from it as well. And I think you can take everything from what everybody's had to say, but I think, you know, two of the themes that have come out is, one, hopefully this is the start of us all being able to establish a network so that we can potentially support each other. Hopefully no more pandemics in the future, please, but to be able to build a network of women within Cumbria who are you know, running their own businesses and providing that support for each other. And I think the other theme is you know, collaboration and you know, supporting other businesses within Cumbria, because as we all have identified, it is a small business community, and if we can you know, put things to other businesses within that community, whichever sector they happen to be in, then, you know, that's going to work for everybody within the business community. So so yes, so I'd just finally like to wrap up to say thanks for sharing, everyone. Thanks very much for giving your time up, and thanks, Catherine and the Chamber, for organising. And I think Martha may have a champagne draw winner for us as well, if everybody's submitted their email addresses. Martha, have you had a chance to do that?
Is there anybody else that wants to join now? I've got a little random number generator, but you can still be added very quickly. No?
What is it?
Right, I think you're safe, Martha.
It's a bottle of champagne, and we'll deliver it to wherever you like afterwards.
Where'd you send it? Where'd you send your email address? Sorry.
Just to me in the chat. I'll just add your name in, Caroline, and then I'll run it. I don't need your email for this bit, but if you want to put it in the chat. 2 seconds.
Should we do some back? It
is Joe at TUI.
Oh, Oh, wonderful. Oh, excellent. Thank you so much, Baines, Wilson, Joanne and Martha for that. Lovely.
Wow,
And Tui's
thank
just
you.
round the corner. So Joe, I'll be there tomorrow to share it with you.
Fine,
Yeah.
fine. I never win anything, so that's amazing.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you very, very much. Right. So I think I'm gonna end the recording, Eve. Do you want to switch that off?